In this video, we're going to review some triangle basics. So we know that a triangle has three sides and three angles, and we can classify the triangles according to the sides and angles. We know there's three ways to classify a triangle by its sides: equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. An equilateral has three congruent sides, which means all three sides are the same length, and it can be a big triangle or it could be a small triangle. An isosceles triangle has two congruent sides. So it might be a tall triangle, or it might be a short triangle. Notice the sides that are congruent have one tick mark, and then the other side that isn't congruent has two tick marks. And a scalene triangle has zero congruent sides. So all three sides are a different length, meaning they each have to have their own marks. And these could look all sorts of different ways. Okay? When we classify by angles, we're looking at the three angles on the inside. So if all three of our angles are less than 90 degrees, we know that we have an acute triangle. That might look something like this, or it could look like this. Okay, all three angles are less than 90 degrees. If we have a right triangle, then we know that one angle equals 90 degrees. So we have to have a right angle in there in order to have a right triangle. And those can look lots of different ways also, as long as we have one right angle. We could also have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. This would be an obtuse triangle. So as long as one angle is wider than 90, we have an obtuse. Okay, we also remember that the interior angles of a triangle are going to total 180 degrees. Make sure that you're only using the interior angles. So in this case, angle A plus angle B plus angle C would equal 180 degrees. This is actually the equation that you will use in order to solve these types of problems. So if you look at our example below, it says write an equation and find the measure of angle 1. So my equation is going to be just adding them up and setting them equal to 180. So angle 1 plus 78 plus 31 equals 180. Then we can add those two together, and that will give us, whoops, got a little ahead of myself. Angle 1 plus, 109 equals 180, and then subtract 109, and angle 1 equals 71 degrees. Now, you might think that's a little tedious to write that out, but when you're given problems with x's in here, this becomes very important because you can't just add them up and subtract from 180. So make sure that you're not skipping this step. This step is very important to be able to do the harder problems that are coming in your practice. Okay, and then we have the remote angle theorem. So when we talk about remote, we're talking about something that is far away. Like think about your remote control cars, right? You can drive that car remotely, or you don't have to be in it. You can be away from it. So when we talk about remote angles, Notice angle 1 is out here. And in my formula, it's adding up angle A and B. But angle B are all the way over here inside the triangle. Okay. Notice they did not include angle C. That's because angle 1 and angle C make a linear pair. We already know how to solve those. We don't need a separate rule for that. But that's actually part of the proof for proving that this theorem works. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to make you prove it. So the equation for using the remote angle theorem is your outside angle, this is an exterior angle, equals the sum of the inside angles. So angle 1 is going to equal angle A plus angle B. And again, here's your equation, so make sure you get used to starting with it. Okay? So let's look at what we have down here. This is an example of an algebraic equation, okay? If you're given number values, those are pretty easy to solve. If you're given x's, make sure that you're writing an equation. So we said we know the outside angle equals the sum of the inside. My outside angle is 2x minus 5, so I'm going to start with that. 2x minus 5 equals, and then it's the sum of the inside, which would be x plus 70. That's the geometry portion. Now that you have your equation, it's all algebra. So subtract your x from both sides, add your 5 to the right, and now you know that your x value is 75. And they're asking us to find the measure of JKL. Well, JKL is this guy in here. Okay, we can't use linear pair because this is an expression. But now that we know what x is, we can figure out what that angle measure is. So we're going to take our 75 and substitute in. 2 times 75 is 150, minus 5 is 145 degrees. So now I know angle K is 145 degrees, and I can go ahead and solve for angle JKL. Because we said they're a linear pair, I know that I can just subtract, and that will give me 35 degrees. And that's your final answer.